I'm fully on board with that being first.
I just feel like, yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my...
That's my opinion.
Hey guys.
Okay, hold on.
No, that's great. Okay. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brooklyn.
And welcome to a
Court of You and Me. Wait,
podcast.
Is it me and you? It's you and me.
Oh
my gosh.
Okay, a podcast all about the SJM universe and beyond.
Yeah.
Just so you know, spoiler alert, we talk about all the things in all of her books. So
literally everything.
If you haven't read everything, like all 16 books, there are spoilers here. Yeah. And we want you to be here, but we also don't want to spoil the experience for you. So if you haven't read it, go away,
go read it,
and then come back to us. And if you have read it, welcome, bestie. We are going to be talking about Throne of Glass today. Mm-hmm. First 3 books in the series.
Which is not this.
Yeah. This is what I'm currently reading. I am currently on Tower of Dawn. Yeah. Which we'll get to that eventually. Yeah. Here we go.
We're talking Assassin's Blade, which I haven't even read. Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. I am going to read this, you guys. Listen, mm-hmm. Let me just tell you something. I just wanted to know what was going to happen in this story, okay? Mm-hmm. And I started with Throne of Glass, and I'm happy that I started with Throne of Glass because it would have spoiled things if I would have started with this.
I do have feelings about this. I have read all 3. Mm-hmm. I did it in the Sarah J. Maas preferred order, which is Throne of Glass first, Crown of Midnight second, and Assassin's Blade third. Assassin's Blade is the prequel, but SJM says read it after Crown of Midnight, which I did. Here's the thing. Can I just say it? Am I going to spoil it for you?
No.
Do you care? No. Okay. I just feel like I don't know. Okay. Assassin's Blade has been my least favorite of all the books so far of the Throne of Glass.
So in your opinion, it's not even like necessary.
The thing is that she literally repeats all the information. The only thing is, I will say that having read Assassin's Blade, when you get to the reveals of the characters that they meet, that she meets in Assassin's Blade, it is fun because you do have the backstory already to them. Like, what's her name? Not Urine. Her name is not Urine. Irene. Is it Irene or Urine?
Oh, shoot. We actually do need to know how these names are pronounced.
Urine.
All right. We're
going to get destroyed in the comments. Go ahead. Destroy us in the comments if we're saying it wrong. Urine, is that it?
Let's see. It's Irene. It's Irene.
It is Irene?
Yeah. Irene Towers.
Okay, Irene Towers. I've been saying Urine the whole time.
Urine.
I've been reading Urine. Okay, Irene. She meets Irene in Assassin's Blade. We get that. But I will say, I don't know. Assassin's Blade I was hoping for a little more. But like even her childhood, you don't find out about that until book 4 or 5. Like I feel like that's when they really get into her.
Oh, they don't cover that in Assassin's Blade?
No, not really, hardly at all.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like, we were saying it's sort of like the
Silmarillion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Silmarillion.
I say Silmarillion. It's kind of like that. It's like,
which is like the Bible of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, except maybe it's not really like the Bible. It's more like, I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you know what's going to happen already. Like when you read, I feel like if you went into Assassin's Blade, if you read that first, oh, that's what my thought was about this. Like if you read Assassin's Blade first, Sam's death would be a total shock.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And like, that's big because you're thinking, you don't know if you don't know what you're getting into, you'd be like, oh, this is her love. And then he freaking dies. And I feel like the emotional impact would be more there. I think there just wasn't a big emotional impact for me reading it third, because I already knew he was going to die. And I was like, give me the romance. I want to see the romance with her and Sam. And I just like already wasn't feeling like it was more than what we were seeing with like Chaol. And so it was just like,
so maybe in your opinion, read Assassin's Blade first.
I almost feel like read Assassin's Blade first. Yeah. Like if, yes, like there will be some things that are spoiled for you that you realize, like Sam's death won't, you'll go into Throne of Glass knowing that Sam's already died. But I don't feel like that was that big of a deal anyways, finding that out. Like, the more exciting part of those books is the love triangle that you think is going to be happening for the entire series.
Here's my petition for reading it third. Okay. You don't even find out. Okay, when I found out that Celaena... Okay, hold on a second. I haven't even read Assassin's Blade.
No, but I want to hear your very uninformed opinion.
I don't even know like if this is revealed in Assassin's Blade. But... you find like, do you find out that she is Aelin in Assassin's Blade?
No,
you don't.
I don't think so.
You don't find out that she's Fae?
No.
Well, then just read Assassin's Blade first.
That's the thing. That was the thing. You don't find like you don't find anything out that changes her.
For some reason, I was under the impression.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
The reveal of that is in book 4, which is Heir of Fire. Is that what it's called?
Well, no, because the reveal of that is at the end of Crown of Midnight.
Oh, right. And then she goes into, so so if you read Assassin's Blade third, you do know because of Crown of Midnight.
Yeah. But what I was saying is the reason why I wanted you to read this third is because I thought this was going to tell you that
they don't talk about that at all.
Literally, never mind then.
I know.
My whole mind is
unless
changed.
I'm wrong, correct us in the comments if we're wrong, but I'm pretty sure you don't know that at all.
That's what, I just didn't want it to get spoiled for you that she is
Fae.
Is Fae and that she's Aelin.
Yeah, no.
She's just
she's Celaena the whole time.
Wow. Okay, so listen, I started a podcast about books I haven't even read, but
well, I'm not finished with Throne of Glass yet either. So
I've read every single book except for Assassin's Blade and the Christmas special of ACOYAM.
Yeah.
So and I'm gonna read them. Okay, I'm gonna read them and I'm gonna give I'll give my thoughts on them.
Yeah. So I feel like my personal. And again, if you disagree with us, if you disagree with me, tell us in the comments. But I feel like I don't understand putting Assassin's Blade third. I don't, other than like you go in knowing you have more backstory on Celaena being assassin and her story with Arabon, however you say his name.
Arabon, I think.
And you know that Arabon is like a pretty bad guy. Like I feel like by the end of this of Crown of Midnight, you know that he, like it's suggested that he might have set her up. So it's like you kind of know going in, but I don't feel like those are even the biggest reveals. Like that's not the tension isn't like hanging on those points. It's more like there's other things about like, is she going to be the king's champion? Which, let's talk about that.
Okay. So I'm fully on board with that being first.
I just feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my opinion. And there's this scene. See, I need you to read it because there is a scene that happens that's really weird and funny, and I want to talk about it.
Okay, so we'll come back to Assassin's Blade
after you read it. One of these days. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Throne of Glass.
I just re-listened to Throne of Glass. I was rereading it. As you can see, these are my little tabbies, and then that's about where I stopped reading it, and I was like, I'm going to listen to this on 2 times speed. Because here's what I'm going to say. The reason we're doing these 3 books, and really these 2 books, because I didn't read the 3rd one, in one episode is because these are so, like, they are so much like the setup, and they are also so different than the rest of the series because 90% of the characters aren't even in them. Right. So, like, by the 3rd book, that's where it's like, you're like, oh, that's what this series is going to be about. These ones are just like, they almost feel like a different series to me. And there is a lot of really important setup that happens in these that does come to fruition later. But it's like, I feel like this is almost one story. Like, these 2 books together is about Celaena, specifically Celaena, and not really like Aelin. Like, it's about Celaena.
Oh, definitely.
Celaena in the castle, like her journey being the king.
It's setting up that like kind of trio relationship of Chaol, Celaena, and Dorian.
Yeah,
and
they the story splits off from there. Yeah,
which I was a little bit spoiled on TikTok because
it's hard not to be.
It's hard not to, because I hadn't even gotten to the Throne of Glass series yet. I think I was still on Crescent City, and I saw someone on TikTok, and they had a little TikTok about how you read the first 3 books of Throne of Glass and it's not even the main love interest, and I was like, what the hell? And so I like sort of kind of had an idea, but I was actually still thinking, like, when I was reading Throne of Glass, because I read that first, I was like, okay, she's probably not going to end up with Dorian. It's probably going to be Chaol. So, like, that will be the one. But no. Which that's another thing. But, okay. First, I want to talk about Throne of Glass. Because I feel like I need to hold it. So, this is Sarah J. Maas's first book that she wrote that was published, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And so the story goes that she started writing it when she was 16 years old.
Which is insane.
Insane. And then I think it was like roughly a 10-year process for it to eventually be published. And then she's basically put out a book a year since then, which is, she's literally the Taylor Swift of romantic fantasy. Like, that is nuts. The amount of books that she's writing
and the length of these books.
But I was like, okay, this was my experience reading Throne of Glass. So I had read ACOTAR, obsessed, read Crescent City, mixed feelings, and then started on Throne of Glass, had high hopes and expectations because I've heard a lot of good things about it. I will say that I think Sarah J. Maas is a master storyteller. Like, this girl can write.
Can weave a plot.
She can weave a freaking plot. The plot is plotting. Yeah. As Brooklyn said to me a while ago, I feel like she creates great characters, and the arcs are almost always like so good. I think that, like, as I was reading this book, I was into it. I was like, I'm here for this story. I love the story. It did feel like I was reading a book written by a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, as far as the writing quality. Now, I'm saying that knowing that I couldn't, as a 41-year-old woman, I could never, ever even come close to doing what she did. Like, it so
felt
insane.
Like from the mind of a teenager.
It did.
Like, the story felt like from the mind of a teenager. The way that Celaena talked about things and the way she felt about things.
Well, even like the sentence structure, like the way she would describe, like, even some of like the romantic tension, it was like, and then he kissed her. And I was like, oh, I need a little more. Can we like have some build up here a little bit?
She gives you more.
And she does give you more. But that's fine, because she was literally 16.
Yeah.
And that is
appropriate for her age.
Totally appropriate and fine and great.
Yeah.
But okay, let's just talk about though the concept of what her story is. So she came up with this character, Celaena, who is an assassin who came out of this slave mine, Endovier. Endovier? I don't know how to say it.
Endovier.
Okay.
The Endovier salt mines.
Okay. And she was basically set up by her ex, like, assassin master who taught her everything she knows and had rescued her. And then she basically gets pulled out of these salt mines by
two hotties.
One being the king's guard, like the
head of the king's
head of the what do they call it?
He's like the head of the king's guard.
He's the guy in charge of the king's guard.
But mysteriously has never killed anybody.
And he's only like 22.
Yeah. And he's really hot.
Which is really old when you're 16.
Yeah.
22 is like a man.
Yes.
So she gets pulled out of these mines and is brought before the prince of Aderlin.
Yeah. Dorian. Prince Dorian.
And from there, the plot thickens.
Yeah.
And basically, she's brought back to the castle in Aderlin, and she is thrown into this competition to become the king's champion, which I'm like, I love I love a championship for survival. Like I love a.
Did it feel kind of Hunger Games?
Yes.
To you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, she has the equation, she has all the little pieces. It's the recipe. It's like you've got the beautiful, like talented, perfect girl who doesn't know that she's like beautiful and talented, and she's like a little bit broken. And then you've got like the two hotties, like one is like super rich and like powerful, and the other one's just like good and strong.
Yeah,
and they
quiet,
both quiet and like,
but there's moments
sort of mean to her a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you've got the evil king,
and
she has to like fight for her life.
Yeah.
And then there's like demons,
and
it's like they have like, and then she also wears pretty dresses.
Yeah, and like, she like gets to go to a party. Yeah, and it's dance like with the prince.
Literally, yeah, it's like literally
a fairy tale.
I feel like what these stories are showing me is how much I just want those stories.
Yeah.
Like, I just want Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast. Over and over and over again. Like that's just what I want. The chosen one who's like the most beautiful and the most strong.
Yeah.
Who's loved by everyone.
Yeah. I was thinking about this and I was like, it actually like feels, I think one of the things that has drawn me so much to her books is, and it's the same thing that draws me to like Taylor Swift music. Is that there's something that actually feels refreshing about it.
Yeah.
Because for so long, everything like media and like music and whatever, like there's so much that felt like it had to be serious or like super deep, and like not everything's a happy ending. And so everything was like an unhappy ending or like bittersweet or whatever. And I think it's the same reason why people want rom-coms. It's the same reason why people are wearing color and painting their houses in colorful colors again. Yeah. It's like we're like, okay, we've done this serious thing for a really long time, and it would actually be nice to just like read a book about like that has a happy ending and that has like just happy little things that happen in it, and that just makes me happy.
Totally happy, horny and humbled.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're referencing, go back and listen to our 6-hour podcast.
Which actually I don't even know if that's going to be in there because I don't know if it got cut off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we said
our 3 words to describe how Sarah J. Maas makes us feel when reading her books is happy, horny, and humbled. Happy because it makes us happy.
Yeah.
Horny because
of the scenes.
And humbled because we are not.
Because look at us. Freaking look at us.
For the listeners, we are wearing elf ears, elf wings, and little flower crowns.
Yeah.
We're not better than any of those.
No.
What is it? The like night court ball. What is that stuff that's like
I am a little better than those people.
What is it
Speak
called?
for yourself. No. Just kidding. Okay, there is this ball that happens where people dress up like the characters and people go in dresses and stuff, and I don't know what it's called.
I hate it. Every time I see it, I'm like, this is the worst, but someone loves it, and we love you. So
yeah, but to each their own.
Go with God.
Maybe I'm just like, I think I'll just never be that free, you know?
Wait, what's it called? I think, is it freedom, or is it just like, I don't know if I would have fun, to be honest.
No, same.
Like, I think that, like, in my most free form, I would be like, I don't enjoy this.
Yeah, I can see it. I feel like it's like the difference between...
Wait, what's it called? What's that ball called? Okay, we need to explain. So if you haven't been on TikTok, there are these... I don't know what it's called. It's called something like the Night Court Ball, or it's called something. And it's basically where these cosplay, like these actors, I don't know who these people are. They're like... It just feels like Joe Schmo, basically, dressing up like the Night Court. And I think people buy tickets to this, and then, like, they have, like, a prom, basically. And
here's what I don't like about it. The cosplayer aspect of it.
They don't look like the real... Like, if they looked like the real...
Even if they did, though, that would... It's like going to Disney World and seeing, like...
I'm not saying I would want to go.
Yeah.
But if they looked really, really, really like the real characters, then I might be like, I get the appeal. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But the thing is like...
They
had the guy... There was this one guy who was Azrael, and I swear to God, he was 5'5". And I was like, literally, Nesta was taller than him.
Where
and I was
are
like...
all the hotties?
like,
I was told there would be hot people.
I was like, Nesta is not taller than freaking Cassian. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Like, so anyways, all that to say, we are humbled though, because look at us.
Yeah.
We're wearing fairy ears right now.
Yeah.
So we draw the line at cosplaying.
That's where
prom.
we draw the line.
Yeah.
But we do this in the privacy of our own home, and then we like broadcast it for the world to see. We don't go out in the real world.
I'm not like buying a dress.
Yeah, exactly. These cost,
and also like how embarrassing. It's like literally only girls go to that. So then they're like dancing, and it's just a big dance floor of girls.
Yeah.
It's reminding me of like the most cringy prom where it's like, I don't know. Anyways,
I know.
I don't want to be a mean girl.
I don't want to hate on it too much, because I know people.
If you love it, then tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Actually, tell us why you love it, because I'm actually interested. Like, I actually just don't understand the appeal at all, and so if anyone in the world is even watching this, like, tell us why you love it, because right now all I feel is. Like I don't see any. I don't understand it, and maybe that's fine.
Yeah,
maybe I'll never. Maybe it's not for me, but
yeah, it's not everything is for everybody.
Yeah, and also like I'm 30. Like maybe
there's an age cutoff.
Maybe there's an age cutoff,
but I don't know.
I feel like there's.
I don't know if there is. I feel like I see people of all ages there. And
yeah.
and literally, like, it's like Renfest. Like, people love Renfest. I mean, I do not.
I do love Renfest.
So yeah, so there's perfect case in point.
Yeah.
Some people love Renfest. Some people don't. Some people love cosplaying night court dance proms. Some people don't. And that's fine.
And that's fine.
But almost everyone who reads Sarah J. Maas loves Sarah J. Maas.
It's true.
That's one thing that we can agree on.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, that was a long tangent.
That was.
Okay. Maybe we'll cut that down, and maybe we'll just leave it all in. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Throne of Glass. Let's just like kind of. Okay. Do we want to talk about like kind of how we feel about the characters when we're like.
Yes, when you're reading them.
Okay. So let's talk about. I mean, Celaena, Dorian, and Chaol.
Mm-hmm.
I think in this book, Celaena is like, it's so crazy that like Sarah J. Maas started writing this when she was 16 and then like finished writing it when she was like in her 30s, because Celaena,
I think like 20s.
Oh, really?
Oh, you mean like the whole series?
The whole series.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The
I thought you were talking about the
series.
first book. Okay, yeah.
Because in the first book, she seems like she's 16, even though I think she's supposed to be 18. She seems like she's 16. Like this, there's a scene where she's like stuffing her face with candy, and then she's like all pouty because she can't go to the parties.
Dance. Yeah.
And then like her and like she's like thinking about Dorian. He's so cute. She's like, I just want to kiss him.
Yeah.
And it's so like young girl fun kind of. And she is like a killer. Like she is an assassin, but it's almost like she's a fun assassin. Yeah. And then by the end, she is like a grown woman. Like I feel like she still has like the swagger. She still has like her Celaena moments. Yeah. But like she definitely feels so much older by the end.
But she's only actually like a year or two older.
I know. The timeline of these books is kind of insane, but
she goes through a lot. I mean,
yeah.
No spoilers. Don't tell me.
Yeah, and as far as like Dorian and Chaol goes, like, how did you feel about them when you were reading it?
Yeah. So when I was reading it, I was like, here for Celaena. I was like, great, this is our girl. Yes. And then I saw the like Dorian and Chaol thing, and I was like, I'm feeling Chaol. Like I feel like that's where the tension really, because the thing is, Sarah J. Maas has a language. You start to like I mean, not necessarily, because she does still throw things at you, but you start to like notice like how she writes tension in characters. And so this is the third series that I was reading, so I already knew kind of like how she does that. But then like when Dorian started coming more into the picture, I was like, yeah, the prince, like totally, he's so cute. Like I totally see why she would want, and Chaol's like so serious and like a little bit boring and just like, I don't know, but I feel like the depth, like as I was reading it, I was like, I feel like she has more depth with Chaol. And Dorian, it's like he's just like the cute hot prince.
Yeah.
And so that was how I was reading that. And I liked Dorian. Like I liked all the characters. She just sets up like this classic love triangle that I'm like, this is a fun
Dorian
dynamic.
Seems like the easy kind of the easy romance, and then Chaol was like, they were both kind of denying their attraction to one another until they finally were like, it smacked me in the face.
Well, and then at the end when she does kind of like straight up reject Dorian, I was like, is it over? Is it really over? Like, like, or are you just like, is she gonna get back with him? Is she gonna have a moment with Chaol and then get back with Dorian? Like, but I will say, so Sarah J. Maas, she did sort of a love triangle in ACOTAR with Tamlin and Rhys, but it's like barely a competition. Like that's barely a thing. I feel like, which I guess technically this is also, but like the way it's set up, you're thinking like, oh, maybe we are gonna get an actual love triangle. But no.
It was a big misdirect,
big time.
It's like you are thinking that like, okay, for the rest of this series there's going to be kind of like a push and pull, or at least for like a few more books, there's going to be a push and pull between Dorian and Chaol. And I can see how each of that each side of that could happen. And honestly, I was going back and forth. Because
Did you know that like that Rowan was coming?
Katie had kind of spoiled that she has a lot of different love interests.
Okay.
And then by the time Rowan came, I was like, oh,
obviously,
but like, so I was like, I knew she was gonna have multiple love interests, but I was still like, how is she setting this up if she's not gonna end up with the two of these? There's this one line where it's like, she looked at Chaol and she was home. And like looking into Chaol's eyes, and she knew she was home. And I was like, how is she not going to end up with that guy if that's her home? And so like even in my head I was like, okay, so maybe she's going to have a few other little romances, but maybe one of these guys is going to be the one that she like comes back to. And then yeah, obviously when Rowan showed up, it was like,
okay, that's over.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to like I guess jump ahead to Crown of Midnight unless you have anything else on Throne of Glass.
Well, so Throne of Glass, I just kind of want to touch on, like, I feel like, well, no, I don't know. I think in Throne of Glass, I was like, okay, I think I want her to be with Chaol.
Yes, that's sort of how. Well, like even in the kind of the when she's having that battle scene, the final battle scene, that when he like comes over and is like, get up, and like and Dorian just kind of sat there. You're like, okay, like, yeah, it kind of became clear that like Dorian maybe just wasn't ready to be with her really.
But then Dorian carried her away at the end, so it's like. And then also, there is like,
there's enough tension there that it makes it hard.
There's a scene there. I was kind of like, maybe I was thinking like, okay, maybe she's gonna get with Chaol, but then maybe she might get back with Dorian.
I know, I had that
because
thought too.
Dorian might have like more of a character arc, and there's a scene where like she's dancing with Dorian, and someone's like, "Who is that?" And Chaol's like, she's just like, "Who? Whatever." And they're like, is she with the prince? And they're like, no. And the guy's like, well, he looks like he's in love with her. Or he's like, well, he's definitely in love with her. So like she will be soon or whatever. And like there was like moments like that.
I know, she really builds it up. Like you really think, like you buy into it.
Like
I saw another TikTok where like my whole life is TikToks. All I like can reference is TikToks. But this one girl was like, you know the sound that's like switching sides. Switching sides. Like every time.
Switching sides.
Yes. Yeah. Every time she like read a different book, she would like switch sides to like go root for whatever love interest is there. Yeah. And I'm like 100%. Like SJM is so good at like getting you to root for whatever love interest she wants you to root for, like aka Tamlin. I had no spoilers about that, so I did not know Rhys was coming, and so I was like, like I actually had a hard time like jumping ship for a minute because I was so bought into the Tamlin romance because she just does it so well, and she leaves you these little crumbs that you're thinking, okay, this is the one, but little do you know that actually there's like she's gonna like elevate it so much. There's gonna be it's I feel like I was definitely torn, and I felt at the end of Throne of Glass I actually felt kind of bad for Dorian.
I did too.
I was like, oh man, you're like really just like dumping him right now, like and it didn't seem like it was over. Like I was like, there's no way this is over. Like,
and then it also too the timing of it was kind of funny too, because so at the end of the book she is like in her little nightgown or whatever, and then Chaol comes to check in on her, and she's like, oh, I'm in my nightgown. And then they like hug, they like embrace, and then Dorian kind of like walks in and catches them, and he's like, hey guys, what's going on? And then like Chaol leaves, and she like talks to Dorian, and he's like trying to kiss her, like trying to whatever, because they were previously kind of a thing, and she's like, oh no, like we can't, like that's when she like dumps him.
She's like, I'm your father's assassin now, it's totally inappropriate for us to have
and
this
it's like
relationship.
The timing's just a little suspicious.
It is.
She like was literally,
it also
like,
feels like a teen girl's thing. It's like, I feel like you used Dorian. Like he got used and abused a little bit, which I don't think she did.
To be fair, Dorian was described as kind of like a playboy, so it's like,
I don't think she actually did use him. I think the timing was just off. But it like, you get why. It's like this doesn't look good.
But okay, outside of the romance, do we have anything to say?
Not really.
I mean, the story itself is like, it was a fun read. It was like
I love the setup of the like competition. I feel like that sort of structure is really interesting
for like a first book had, like, too, to introduce characters.
She had some friends that she made along the way. Don't look at me if they come back, but I don't know. I need nothing.
Yeah.
But she made some friends along the way. I don't remember their names, but that were like sweet friendships.
Yeah.
And like she's just really good at like, even I'm like, man, 16. That's the thing that I can't get over. Like you were so young.
Yeah.
When you wrote this. And there were parts that were like a little bit hard for me to get through simply because the sentence structure I don't think was very good. Mm-hmm. But I also saw another TikTok that was talking about that and how this editor was basically like, you are not a better writer than SJM. Just because you can form better sentences doesn't mean you're actually a better writer, because it takes so much skill.
You can't, like, craft a story.
It takes so much skill to keep people interested in a story. And that's the thing, is I feel like while you could maybe critique technically like sentence crafting, the story is there and it's definitely a setup. And it does make me wonder, which I meant to research this before we did this podcast, because I was like, I want to be informed and actually educate people, but no, that's not what this podcast is, let's be honest. But I'm interested to know, because I did have the thought, like, why did she not go back and edit this book? Like, if it took her if it took 10 years for it to get published, why did she not go back and like rewrite some of this stuff?
She might have.
Maybe she did.
Yeah.
But my thought, I saw somewhere that she, and correct me in the comments, if you know, please tell us. I saw somewhere that there was potential that maybe that she had it posted online on like a fan sort of, like she posted it online, like an amateur writing type thing before it was actually published. And she developed fans from that. So people had like read the story already. And so I think the reason I'm thinking that is because she actually she like thanks people in the end of the book. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Hold. We'll edit this out.
We have to do so much editing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you are. Okay. She says in her acknowledgments at the end, she says, lastly and perhaps most importantly, thank you to all my readers from fictionpress.com. Do you know what that is?
No.
Your letters, fan arts, encouragement gave me the confidence to try to get published.
Okay, so
I'm honored to have you as fans.
Okay. So yeah, it seemed like she had posted some stuff.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, but we made it. Here's looking at you. Yeah, so I'm like, did this book exist already? And so then when it actually got published, it was like, I'm not going to go retcon it, because that was like what the story was.
Yeah.
And so to me, that only makes sense, because obviously her writing by the time this was published, her writing was like already
so much better.
Yeah. So I'm like, maybe that's why it is like that. But
yeah. And I will say, I don't think her writing is horrible. I've actually read, I've read books since these, Trying to Chase the High.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, this is better than a lot of stuff that and, I mean, the stuff that I've read by, 30, 40-something-year-old women.
Yeah.
And so, there are definitely moments in here. Kind of the things she says, and
I think it just doesn't, I feel like you can't compare it to ACOTAR, because her writing is in such a different place at that point. So it's if you just read that book first, I think you may not even notice anything. But that was just why, just the way she builds things up, or it just felt a little clunkier than her. But we stand SJM, and there's I mean,
we love you, SJM.
We love you, SJM. And it's so good, and it's a million times better than anything I could ever do. So, yeah. That was sort of my takeaway from that. And this book made me really excited for the series. I was bought in. I was I'm here. I love it. I
was bought in too. And I did know going into it that okay, there's gonna be this book. This series takes like a bit to get into.
I'm sorry.
What?
My ear keeps literally getting stuck on my wing.
I don't know how yours is, because mine's...
I don't know if it's
yours is like angled
the way that I'm sitting.
Yeah.
It just keeps like... Yeah, these wings are really riding up on me.
Also, it's like cutting off the circulation.
Is this made for a child?
Yeah.
Why would it be made
Amazon,
for a child?
It said child or grown woman.
Okay, so either or.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to have a rash on my ears from these little...
Yeah. Okay.
It's cool. Okay.
So
yeah, Throne of Glass.
Throne of Glass. It was good. It was fun. It was like it does feel like a young adult. I just don't have like too much to say about it.
No, it's just like it sets you up. It's the like first part to setting up the story.
What do you think of her friend Nehemia?
Oh.
Or Nehemiah.
I've heard Nehemia.
I've heard Nehemia, but also I think it's also a real name that could be pronounced Nehemiah. I think in the Bible there's someone named Nehemiah.
I was reading it Nehemiah and I was like, it is not Nehemiah. and then I started saying Nehemia, I think.
Yeah.
Nehemia. I like her. I was like, there was a minute where I was like, is she the bad guy?
Mm-hmm. I think I trusted her the whole time, but when she
just had she was up to some shady, like she had some secrets, and so I was like, either she's the bad guy, which I was like, that feels too obvious that she would be because of the secrets. Like,
I think I definitely foresaw what was gonna happen to her. I think
that she was gonna die.
Yeah. I don't know why. I think I was just like, oh, okay. When she was like urging Celaena to join the cause or whatever.
But
like,
that's in this book, right? Or yeah, that's in Crown of Midnight.
Okay. I thought it was at the end of this one. Maybe she was like, now that you're a person, you have to like help me.
Maybe
whatever. Maybe it's not.
Maybe it is.
Sorry, guys.
No. I don't know.
Sorry,
it might be.
We don't know anything. But it is just that these books, I feel like they feel so disconnected to the rest of the story for me. Not that they're not necessary, but just that the characters are not like, so many of the characters that you come to care about are like introduced later.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and there are so many characters in this series. Like there are like, we need to write it out, but I feel like there's like 20 characters that you like by the end. Yeah. You really, I mean, I haven't read the very end, but
I liked Nehemiah. I wasn't obsessed with her.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't feel the way that I felt about like Lysandra.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And I believe Lysandra and her's friendship so much more. Nehemiah and
part
Celaena,
of me feels like that's part of like the writing immaturity of like the character development wasn't quite in the first book. Yeah. So it's like you're just sort of, she's like, and this is my best friend. And you're like, okay, this is her best friend.
Yeah, like when she gave her a new name, she's like, you're going to be Alentia.
Oh, yeah.
I was like.
Which that sounds like a name my daughter would make up. Like that's like a name that my daughter when she was 5 would like name her ponies. Like, what's her name? Alentia.
Yeah. But, yeah, I was kind of like, you guys have known each other like a month, and like, why are you giving her a new name? Yeah. And also, like, did that name ever come back? I don't know. Maybe it did, but
I feel like it's in Heir of Fire. She's like, my name is Aelin, Celaena, Alentia. Like, she tells the kitchen cooks, like, that's her name. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Nehemia, whatever her name is, was like fine for me. Like she's like kind of a plot device, an important person for like the telling of the story.
I liked their scenes.
Yeah.
I was like,
and I'm glad that I was like, oh, she has a girlfriend.
I like that she had a buddy.
Yeah.
I like that she had someone that was just like on her side always.
I feel like I did get a little annoyed with Nehemia when she would get like so mad at Celaena for like not like for like being a coward, like you're a coward, and I'm like, what? Come on,
yeah,
like
in that book, she says that.
Sometimes, and that's one of the things in some of S. James books, like when people get really mad at other people for things, that I'm like, why are you that so mad? Like, I feel like you can just not agree. Like, I just don't understand, like, the, like, bitter anger, like, and literally it's like the worst thing ever. Like, you are a coward.
I think
like,
Nehemia got really mad at Celaena in this book because Celaena started suspecting her.
Oh, yeah.
And I think she felt, like, really, really, really hurt. Like, she's like, kind of like, how could you not trust me? But I'm like, girl,
she doesn't even know you.
You guys have known each other for
like
literally
2 weeks.
Not that long. And also, like, this girl's, like, family was killed. Like, she's got a lot of reason not to trust people. Like, I did feel like the kind of tension in their friendship didn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah. Agreed.
Like, mostly I'm like, Nehemia had to be there to die.
Yeah.
To, like, so we have, like, the motivation.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
For Celaena to, like, the rage in her, and then the, like, the direction, like, you know, it's like for her to feel motivated, and also to, like, basically cause the breakup with her and Chaol, which that was another thing. I'm like, why is Chaol getting blamed so hardcore for Nehemia? Like, I get it, he's like the king's guard, and like, but the way it was portrayed, like, Chaol chose to follow the king instead of being honest with me, and it's like, okay,
it would have made sense to me if the way they treated that whole plot line of, like, Nehemia getting killed, and it was like kind of like Chaol made some really stupid decisions that, like, kind of led that to happening, like, or at least, like, he could have prevented it, maybe. Like, oh my god, the thought that I had just, like, totally left my brain. Oh, okay. It would make more sense to me if that had, like, kind of tainted their relationship, and it was just, like, kind of something that she just couldn't get over, but, like, it wasn't, like, this outright,
you're the
like,
worst, and I'm gonna, like, scratch your face with my nails, and, like,
it was maybe more like a in the Hunger Games, how, like,
it, like, gives her the ick a little bit,
or like in the Hunger Games, how Gale is responsible for Prim, like, indirectly responsible for what happens to Prim. And Katniss is like, yeah, I just can't, like, look at you the same way anymore. Like, that would make more sense to me if she was like, yeah, I don't know, like, it's just, I can't, like,
instead of being like, I'm gonna kill you now.
I'm literally gonna kill you right now.
Yeah, like, it didn't totally make sense. Like, yes, exactly. I'm like, okay, I get it. By proximity, he is the king's guard. He had an awareness that Nehemia was going to be interviewed by the king, but he didn't know. But it's like, sure, he could have told Celaena, like, Nehemia is going to be interviewed by the king. But the thing is, Celaena had secrets that she didn't tell Chaol either. It's like they had that weird boundary thing where it's like, you're the assassin, I'm the king's guard. Like, we haven't told each other every single thing. So I'm like, it doesn't, like what you're saying makes sense. Like, that could make sense, where it's like, okay, my feelings are that I can't see you the same way anymore, and I can't get over it, versus the, like, Chaol, you're literally the most evil person, because it's like, that was your boyfriend who didn't tell you that your best friend was going to be interviewed by the king, but he didn't know actually what was going to happen. And then we find out that Nehemia actually, like, set up her own death anyways. So it's like, and even that, like, later on, I feel like Celaena, I'm like, does Chaol get an apology or like something like, hey, I, like, really came down hard on you with that? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Sometimes, like, the way people get, like the accusations that happen in some of the books don't totally make sense to me. Like,
it's another thing that just feels like kind of
like you just accept it. You're like, okay, this is, I guess.
Yeah. It also is just, like, what feels kind of young about the first part of the series.
Yeah.
The way people kind of react to each other. I do feel like the reactions to things, at least on Celaena's part, I feel like make more sense as the series goes on. But definitely in the first two books, like, kind of like her and Nehemia's stuff, and then her and Chaol, you're kind of like,
Yeah, but it's like, would those characters really do that? Like, is that really how she would?
Yeah.
Like, truly, if we were being really honest about the characters.
Yeah.
And their motivations and, like, the way you would see something. Unless you were, like, a little unhinged. Yeah. It's, like, kind of unhinged. Like, her reaction was, like, way... Like, you get... It's, like, her best friend was murdered. That's, like, horrible.
Yeah.
And I understand a meltdown and a breakdown. But the way it was, like, directed at Chaol... And then it wasn't even just, like, a... sorry for my outburst type thing. It was like, and you're dead to me now.
Yeah. Like you're dead. Like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Dorian. Okay, I want to say something about Dorian in the second book. He gets rejected by Celaena pretty hard at the end of the first book. And in the second book, he has some moments of jealousy. Like, he has some moments... not of jealousy, but just kind of like almost just sadness.
Yeah.
Almost just
like, actually, I felt bad for him.
Yeah. I just moments where he sees Celaena and Chaol together and he's like, oh man.
Like, he gets his heart broken.
He does get his heart broken. But the way he deals with it made me love him so much because there's a scene in the second book where someone is like singing a song or whatever, and he literally has this moment where he's like,
oh yeah,
he like,
and he
closes his eyes and he like says goodbye to that.
Well, because he sees Celaena
and
Chaol in the back of the room, and Celaena's like really emotionally moved.
Yeah,
and I think Chaol's just looking at her.
Yeah.
And they're like,
or
they're
looking
at each other. They're looking at each other and they're having this really like emotional, and Dorian sees that and he's like,
okay,
they have a thing, and she deserves that. She deserves to be looked at that way.
Yeah.
And no, I agree.
And he's like, and then he like said goodbye to her and his like in his heart.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
yeah, I know.
And then too, like, even after they kind of like quote break up or whatever, like there's moments where he's like, are we like, I thought we were gonna be friends. Like, do you think we could still be friends? Like, he genuinely values her as a friend, even though he was like in love with her. Like, I feel like you rarely ever see that
that's true.
Any story ever. The guy being like, but wait, like, I really want to be your friend still. And I'm so glad that she did that. Like, I just feel like...
Yeah, no, I like that too. And if you contrast it with like how Chaol responded... Which
garbage.
It was a different scenario a little bit. Yeah. Like, I mean, Dorian got dumped.
Yeah.
But then Chaol, I feel like Chaol
had the worst response ever.
Really bitter. And I will say, I think Celaena, like, sometimes was a little over the top mean, like, about some things. And I do think that her reaction was misdirected over Nehemia. Like, I do think that there's something a little like unbalanced and not like, it doesn't feel right the way Chaol got like so blamed for that.
But even at the end, at the end of this book, they're kind of on better terms.
And you kind of
he tells her he loves her at the end of the book.
Yeah, and I don't think she's let go of the relationship yet. Like, she's still, because even when she goes over to Wendell,
she wears his Wendy's. Wendelin? I think it's Wendelin.
It's Wendelin. When she crosses the ocean to Wendy's.
When she goes to Wendy's through the Wendy's drive-through.
Gets a nice little Frosty with a small fry.
Yeah.
She still is like missing Cole. Like, she's like there's a part where she like reaches over in the bed thinking she's grabbing Cole, and it's like
Chaol, yeah.
Is it Chaol? Chaol, whatever.
Chaol, yeah. And she wears the ring.
Yeah, so it like I feel like it takes at least half of air fire for her to get over him.
Yeah.
And realize like I'm not, and even like when she sees him, like when she comes back and she sees him, there's still that like minute where you're like, oh, like are they gonna have a moment, and then they just are like at each other's throats.
I know.
Which is just like, oh my gosh, you guys.
I was sad about that. But just to
but with Chaol's character development, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Like his reaction to who he is as a character at that point makes sense.
And Dorian, like, I think he's just who his character is like very honest.
Yeah.
And kind
like
of
a golden retriever.
Yeah.
Like he's just
he actually does have a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And he actually is like, he gives me like, he has a lot of friends that are girls.
Yes.
Vibes.
Like he has big sisters.
Yeah, he has that's
like
the
that's the vibe.
That's
like
the
he
vibe.
has big
kind
sisters.
of his only male friend is Chaol.
Yeah.
And all of his other friends are girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's
Yeah.
like he had big sisters who like he saw bloody tampons like in the toilet.
Yeah. And he's
and his
not
sisters
bothered.
were like, "Hey, that's what this is."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay."
Yeah. Because even in his relationship with Celaena, like, he gets on so easily with her. Like, he's, like, reading the books, and they're, like, playing the chess or whatever, the pool or whatever.
He has great, and he is so comfortable with women. Like, but in a sweet way, not a creepy way.
No,
like, and he's definitely a flirt.
Yes.
But it's, like, endearing flirting.
Yes.
It's flirty. It's, like, the kind that you actually want.
Yeah.
You actually want someone to flirt with you that way.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Love Dorian.
Isn't like always the easiest to find. Not that I'm looking, but I'm married. I'm fine.
Yeah, but yeah, I love Dorian for that reason.
Yes.
And I feel like you really get to see like him shine in that way in this book with how he gets over Celaena.
Yeah.
Okay, but Celaena and Chaol, this is their romantic
in Crown of Midnight. And I was here for it. I was totally bought in. She like loses her virginity to him, and it's like a sweet little thing.
I feel like he loses his virginity to her. I don't know if he
I don't think he does,
but
I think well, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
but like
she's definitely his first love.
Yeah.
When she like throws him the little birthday party.
Yeah.
Or whatever, the birthday dinner.
Yes.
Is it his birthday?
Yeah, it is his birthday.
And he's like, no one's ever given me anything like this before. Like,
yeah. See, Chaol has some really sweet
moments,
things too.
Yeah.
And you realize like he is such a sweet, tender-hearted guy. Once you get past all the like hard exterior, there's something really like tender, and he cares so deeply about like the people around him, and like really wants to protect people, and it's really sweet. Like there was one, I think like earlier in the book, like there's one part where this is before they're actually like together, and it's like the tension's building, and they're still like in the friend place, and it's like she comes in late, and he was like, I was just worried about you, and he just like pulls her towards him, and the way it's described is just like so sweet, and they just like stand in the hall and hug, and it's like really sweet. Like they have a really sweet relationship.
Yeah, I was really here for it in that book,
and they felt good for each other too. Like it felt like this makes sense. Like Captain of the Guard, they both, and they like go running together in the morning.
Yeah.
And like he pushes her, and like she like,
and even the way they end it, where he sends her off.
Yeah, like, and she gives him the amulet.
Yeah, he sends her off, and he's like, I love you, and she's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I have to sneeze. Sorry. You're like, okay, I feel like could still be the one. They're gonna have to fight through this hurdle of the fact of what happened to Nehemia, but
this could still work.
This could still totally work. Like there could still be an arc there where there's now some tension with the Nehemia stuff that they can like maybe work through.
Yeah.
But that is not what happened, which is why we're talking about it in one episode.
Yeah, I feel like, I guess like the rest of what this story is it's like starting to set up stuff about the rebels, and we're getting a little bit more into the like backstory of like the dead queen, what's her name, and like the word
Elena.
Oh yeah, is that the queen? Yeah, and then the word marks and word gates and that sort of stuff, and like.
And the biggest thing that happens is at the end with the where she reveals that she
jumps into the portal to save Chaol, and she's in her faith.
Oh wait, does she save Chaol or Dorian? Oh crap.
I think it's Chaol.
Okay.
Because Chaol went in to get her little dog, Fleetfoot.
Yeah.
Right? And Dorian was knocked out.
Okay, yeah.
Because he didn't... And we find out Dorian has magic.
Yeah. Which I wasn't sure where that was going to go. I was like, please don't make Dorian bad. Please don't make Dorian bad. Because I was like, okay, he's such a good guy. Like, maybe they'll make him bad.
I know.
But that's also not what happened. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so she saves Chaol, and then Chaol is like really disgusted by her fae form.
Yeah, which is an ick.
It is.
Yeah.
It was that was a red flag.
Yeah, that was a red
and
flag.
It was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like, either he's gonna have to come around.
He was like really racist against fairies.
Bigoted.
Yeah, he really was. He's like, if fairies are gonna be around, what does that mean for us?
Yeah, and magic, like with no restraint. And,
yeah.
Which I get the argument, but also it's like, calm down.
It's
Chaol.
like, calm down. There's room for all of us. Yeah.
Like, all are welcome.
Yeah.
Chaol.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was not cool.
Yeah, so you find out at the end.
Yeah, that's a huge reveal.
That she is fae and that she is freaking Aelin. Which, did you have any indication that she was going to be either before that happened?
That she was going to be fae?
And that she was Aelin?
No.
Me neither.
No, I did not. I think I saw some fan art that maybe had her, like, I might have seen, like, you know, like a pointy ear on her in some fan art, but then, like, you don't know exactly, you know, it's like,
yeah.
So it's like sort of in there, like maybe, but I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah. It was still surprising.
No, when she jumped through and was in her fae form, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And like the canines too.
Yeah.
Because also this fae form is different than the ACOTAR.
Yeah.
With like, mostly because of the canines, which I was like, it's not for me, but.
Yeah.
But there are some moments that come along that I'm well, you know, I can see it.
Yeah, girl.
Totally.
Happy, horny, and humbled.
Happy, horny, and humbled. Yes, that was a shock, and the Aelin thing, and it made me really excited for the next book, but then I had to fucking read The Assassin's Blade, which was like, whatever, you know, I got through it, and it's an interesting read. I feel like you got to read it first. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like, what do you guys think? Do you think you should read Assassin's Blade first, or in the preferred order, which is reading it third?
Yeah. Or in my preferred order, which
not
is
at
not
all.
reading it at all.
Skipping it completely.
I
don't feel like you get more backstory. Yeah. I think that reading it, I definitely would say read it, because it makes, when those other characters come along, you're like, oh, you already have an introduction to them. So it's like, that's fun. But like in the end of, what's it called? In the end of, not Airfire, one that goes after that,
Queen of Midnight?
Storm of Fury, Queen of
Shadows, and then Empire of Storms.
Okay, in the end of Empire of Storms, there's like a convergence of characters. That you meet in the Assassin's Blade, and some of those characters, like one of them in particular, like the quiet assassins or the silent assassins, his son, you love him so much in Assassin's Blade. Like, I kind of like wanted her to be with him instead of Sam, actually. But
I'll go home and read this.
Yeah, I feel like now, but I do think like momentum wise, I'm like Assassin's Blade first.
Yeah, because then
there isn't. I guess like if you were like, there are characters that you meet here that you don't meet like again until like way later, so maybe you don't remember it as well. But I'm also like, if you read these books the way we read them, which is weeks apart, you're gonna remember them.
You're gonna remember.
Fine.
Yeah.
yeah, so anyways, big reveal in Crown of Midnight is that Celaena is actually Aelin. She is Fae. She is demi-Fae. And that sets you up for... Oh, also, I think it was a really, really interesting choice and, like, so smart. The way they got her to Wendy's, to Wendelin, that Chaol was like, to save you and protect you, I'm going to send you into, like, Faeland, where you can be, like, with your people. Yeah. And how Dorian was so pissed at him for that and didn't understand his motivation for it. Because he didn't know. Yeah. And so... yeah, I was like, that's a really good way to tell a story. Like, that's really interesting. And then it gets her onto her next thing. And it's also like, it was Chaol's choice. Like, he was the one who sent her there. And so,
which we can talk about that.
How he just, like, took it into his own hands to do it.
Well, no, he's the one that sent her there. And then when she comes back, he's like, you just left.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's got issues that I think get healed here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm. This is where Amy's at in Tower of
No
God.
Spoilers.
No spoilers for the very last.
Like, he obviously needs healing. He obviously needs to be healed. Yeah. He needs to, like, have his issues dealt with. Yeah. But I still think he's a good guy. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I am enjoying it, and I'm like, I feel like, yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it.
I really loved it.
I'm like 200 pages in. Cool. And can we also just talk about how the last 100 pages of every single one of her books is, like, the most intense thing? Yeah. Like, I'm at the 100 page mark. Like, no one talk to me. Yeah. I cannot, like, do not interrupt me. Yeah. This is, like, my time.
This is, like, we are, like,
that's the end mark
stretch of the marathon, and I am like,
yes. Yeah. Okay, but can I tell you my predictions?
Yeah. Okay, so Amy... Okay, hold on. Is this all we have to say?
I feel like that's all I have to say.
Do you have any feelings about, like, the King of Adarlan or anything?
I mean, hate him, you know? Yeah, like, he's the worst. He sucks. Hate him. Like, yeah.
He doesn't feel... Honestly, to me, he doesn't... He's not even, like, the main... bad guy of the whole story.
You don't totally know that yet.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah. This is what's so crazy is, like, literally at this point, well, technically you're 2 books in, but really it's 3 books worth of information in, and, like,
you don't know the main love interest.
The setup. Yeah. That is the setup. Yeah. It's like you didn't get. Yeah. You don't know the story. Like, if you only read those 3 books, no, you don't know the story at all. Yeah. That's
the main love interest isn't in there. The main baddie, the bad guy, isn't in there.
And, like, so many other extremely important characters. I mean, like, Sandra's there, but you hate her. Yeah. She's, like, awful.
Yeah. You don't know who her, like, crew really is going to be.
Yeah. Her found family.
So it's, like, yeah, that's why we're talking about them all at once. Because
it's kind of, like, just, that's the one main, like, story. Yeah. Okay, so I'm at Tower of Dawn right now.
This is where Amy's at.
Okay. And by next week, I know I'm probably going to have the whole series done. And I have mixed feelings about that. Like, part of me is like, oh, I got my life back. Like,
yeah. It might take you, like, a week to finish Kingdom
the other
of
one.
Ash.
Yeah.
It is like 1,000 pages.
Is it? Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's really good news. So excited about that. Okay.
You never thought you would say that about a book.
No, I know. You? No, never. Okay. Here are my predictions. This is kind of vulnerable because I could very well be wrong.
Where are you at in the book?
Chaol and Irene are working on his healing, and he just started moving his toes.
Okay, cool.
So I feel like
he just, like, opened up to her about
they just had, like, an emotional thing. Like, she opened up to him about her mother, and then he opened up to her, and then his toes started moving. It's weird. Also, I think it's an interesting choice that Sarah J. Maas had him paralyzed too. I'm like, that's a good choice. These are good. These are good choices for storytelling. Yeah.
Okay. Where do you think it's going to go with him?
With him? Okay. Right now, I'm 200 pages in. Okay. I feel like I can't look at you. Because if I see a twitch in the eye or a twitch of the mouth, I can't. Yeah. Okay. So I think him and Irene are going to end up together.
Okay.
I think it makes a lot of sense that she would, because there is foreshadowing, like in one of the books. I don't know if it's Air of Fire, or no, it's the one after that. Queen of Shadows, I think. Queen of Shadows, when Dorian's little healer girl,
I forget her name.
I forgot her name too.
Oh shoot, is it in this one?
No, it's in
his healer girl. Oh no, it's not. You're right.
Anyways, there's one point when Chaol says to her, Aderlyn, something about like Aderlyn really could have done with like a queen who was a healer. And maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Chaol's gonna end up being the king of Aderlyn. And I think Dorian's gonna die. Don't look at me.
Okay.
Don't look at me.
Okay.
Now that feels like a risk because SJM never kills anybody that we really super duper care about. So if she does do that, that will be like, oh my gosh. And also for like a million reasons, Dorian dying would be the worst. But I've thought about this and I'm like, I mean, there's so much that could happen. So, you know, but I'm like, Dorian, we know that Aelin and Dorian are the only ones that are going to be able to put the stones. They're going to be able to lock up the stones. And I feel like, and Dorian has the stones now. He's with Mora. She's going to be the queen of the waste.
Morin.
I
think it's Morin.
Morin? M-O-R-A.
I think it's Maron.
Okay, whatever. Morin.
Queen or witch girly.
Okay, it doesn't make sense. Like, if he's going to be the king of Aderlyn and she's going to be the queen of the witches, like, how are they going to do that? I think what's going to happen, what makes sense to me, and it's sad, I think Dorian's going to die because he's going to basically use all of his powerful magic to put the lock in, so Aelin actually doesn't have to die, because now right now they're saying like the only way to do it is if Aelin, you're gonna die basically. Like that's what this whole thing is about. But they're both the heirs, so I think that he's gonna end up being the one. And I hope that Marin, whatever, is going to get pregnant with a little witchling that will be Dorian's bloodline, but like, and then I think Dorian somehow along the way is going to have Chaol be the king, because there's also been foreshadowing talking about Chaol being a king someday.
Manon. That's what it is.
Yeah. Manon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Manon.
There's been foreshadowing about like how Chaol would make a really good king of Aderlyn, and then like his little healer wife would be the queen. It just like makes sense for the things that have been written. And that Aelin cannot die because she needs to freaking be with Rowan for 1,000 years. And like they're gonna have an heir, and like that. So it's like, if that happens, and there's no way Aelin's gonna die. Like there's just no, unless she does it and she pulls it whole fast. I'm like, are you gonna really kill your leading lady? I just like can't see that happening. An alternative would be that Brandon has something up his sleeve, and like there was some sort of secret there that he's gonna somehow give some extra power so that Aelin doesn't die, and then maybe Dorian stays alive and he's still the king. I don't know. But I feel like from a poetic standpoint, Chaol being the king and Irene being his queen, Dorian dying and being like, and then Manon having a little witchling heir from him, and then that just makes the most sense poetically, I think. But
we shall see.
We can revisit it and see what happens.
Yeah.
But then there's like a bunch of other characters that I'm like, I have no I don't know where this is going. Like right now with
Nezrin.
I mean, she kind of has that thing going on with the prince.
Sartak.
Yeah, so I'm like, I can see that being a thing. Also, I could see one of these princes or princesses is a bad guy. Like somebody's bad. Like maybe not. Maybe they're all good. But I could see something's gonna probably happen there. Because she just wants everyone to be happy mostly.
Yeah.
So I feel like if Dorian dies, that really will be so shocking because she just like doesn't ever do. That would be the biggest character to die ever. And it would be like devastating. So I have heard that people are like, I was not prepared for that book. And so I'm like, I know something happens, but I don't know what. But that's like my guess from a literary poetic storytelling standpoint and what she's already written about. How like just foreshadowing things.
Yeah. I'm so excited to talk about the last book.
Yeah. So anyways,
I almost want to talk about like the last book, like when you're done with it, and maybe we'll just like release that episode later, and then we'll go through all the other ones.
Yeah.
Because I almost like want it to be like fresh.
Yes.
You know. And that's obviously the freshest one for me.
I mean, and maybe we would like clump together. Yeah. Anyways. So yeah, there you have it, folks. We'll see how wrong Amy was about that.
Yes.
But I'm loving it, and it's going to be really crazy to be done with them because, you know, you get really attached to these characters. So.
And we'll do our casting for these books in another episode.
Yeah, great. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Hope you listen to this at 2 times the speed because.
Yeah, I'm going to have to edit this one. We'll make it work. Designers.
Anyways, thanks for Make It Work, designers. Thanks for joining us, folks.
This has been a court of you and me. And we'll come up with some sort of outro.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, court.
No, we
Why?
cannot.
Why?
No, we cannot.
Why?
All right, good night,
Good night,
court. It sounds like we're talking to someone named Court.
I mean, take it however you will. Do with it what you will.
Yeah.
All right. I think
we're done for the night.
We just did that for like 6 times. Is it? Oh.